there's always just been a lot of sort of speculation and talk and when MoMA and all of this stuff about, this art that a lot of people think is a big forward-thinking artistic movement, when it was going to get into these, big and respected art museums. And we just have two huge examples of it that just happened.
Two Bored Apes talking NFTs, DeFi, and some random stuff. Two Bored Apes talking NFTs, DeFi, and some random stuff.
Welcome to episode 71 of Two Bored Apes. I'm your host, Jamie. I'm here with my friend and co-host, Roy. As is tradition on the podcast, I'm going to ask you how you're doing, Roy. How are you?
And breaking tradition, Jamie, I'm going to tell the listeners who won our last giveaway because Vitor is standing to the side of me with a gun, yada, yada, yada.
Yes.
Every episode, we like to give away some NFTs, usually some Tezos art NFTs. And at the end of every episode, we have a game and have a secret word, and then people can enter the giveaway, and then we usually afterwards give them away, and no one really hears about it. Vitor, our incredible producer, I guess, is probably the best word for Vitor.
He said to do a lot of preamble before you say who wins, too, so you're doing great.
Being funny. Haier, Haier, and Big B. Congratulations. You each won two pieces each, actually. I send them one each, you send them one each.
Right. And there's two of us, so that comes out to two pieces
total.
each.
Some math here. Congratulations to them.
Yes. And stay tuned for the rest of the episode. You could win one at the end of this episode.
Or 2 or 4 or 10. Probably just 1 or 2.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I should have been more careful. Specifically, if you listen to the end, you can win 2 NFTs if you're an individual human.
All right. Back to the question you asked me. I'm good, Jamie.
Yeah, how are you?
I'm good. I'm
good.
I'm good. I haven't had any food today, actually. I have not had a meal yet.
This coffee is the first calories I'm consuming all day. Look how light it is, by the way.
That looks very milky.
Yeah, I had to use less cream than I like to have it this color. Well, I'm sorry. I'm gonna get us right off the rails right away. I buy this container of creamer. It says it has 47 servings in it, and it probably lasts me 7 cups of coffee if I don't consciously go, okay, I gotta not have 150 calories worth of.
Now, for the non-Americans and including myself, remind us, what is creamer?
It's basically you have, cream, you have milk, and then around here, what was very popular for a long time is called half and half, which is basically half cream, half milk. And then there was a lot of these non-dairy creamers, right? That it's very sweetened, but it doesn't have dairy. Now they figured out a way to get that delicious sweetness of the non-dairy creamers, but actually use dairy. And those are just called creamer. At least that's what I am referring to.
So it's like half and half, but sweet?
It's basically a dairy product that already has some sugar in it. And they're so good.
I actually lied about not having had anything today. I haven't eaten food, but I did have calories. I went out to a cafe and I had a iced salted caramel latte, and it was delicious.
That sounds good,
especially for someone who doesn't like sweet things. It was like the right balance.
Right. Well, the salt is what helped you negate that. By the way, we don't have time to dilly dally anymore because my computer is so close to dying. It's just we got to get to the end of this recording before it blows up.
Okay.
It took me 3 times to get my computer to successfully boot up today.
You got to get a new computer already.
Yeah, you're not wrong about that.
All right.
But, no, it doesn't matter. I was going to go on another rant about paying my taxes.
Let's jump into news of the week. We could be back and forth ranting forever.
News of the week.
News of the week. It's been a big week, Jamie. A lot has happened.
Yeah, our news of the week kind of crosses over with our generative art stuff this week a little bit.
It does.
The biggest news of the week is generative art related, and so it's kind of both.
Let's chat about the non-generative art news of the week, and then we'll merge into generative art and news of the week, and then finish that way.
Okay.
The Super Bowl happened.
The Super Bowl did happen.
There was an NFT ad during the Super Bowl. Did you see that? You were watching it, presumably?
I heard about it. I mostly played chess during the commercial breaks on my phone, so I don't actually specifically remember that one. It was a QR code, and the web page got overloaded, and it brought you to the guy's Twitter. Is
Pretty
basically
much.
what I know. It's like related to the Digidaigakus or something.
Yep. That's basically it. It was a QR code. I think like the first 5,000 people or something, which is not that many for a Super Bowl
No.
ad, got directed to a Mint page, and then the rest got directed to Gabe Layden, I think is his name. Gabrielle Gabe Layden.
Do you follow NFT statistics on Twitter? Good Twitter
Yes.
account, I think.
Yeah.
So that they tweeted, they did a little bit of analysis of the wallets that claimed it, and it was basically 70% of the ones that claimed it already had an NFT, and the other 30% they were saying, probably some of these are alt accounts of other people.
Right.
So it wasn't really so successful for onboarding people. I
Yeah.
don't even know what the website it took you to if you were one of the first was, but if it included something where you already had to have a wallet, like of course you're not
Right.
going to successfully be able to onboard new.
I didn't see the ad. Well, actually, I saw like a clip of it, but I don't think that's the whole thing. A lot of criticism was that it looked like those mobile video games that are just super spammy
Oh
and you see
yeah,
ads for them all the time, and which makes sense because Gabe previously ran like some of the largest
yeah. He was a
mobile
mobile
gaming
game
stuff.
something.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
which does not, to me, represent the best side or the face of the NFT space, but hey,
Which is former professional poker players to you, or like what is the best? I feel like
I would say
it's
generative art and
oh,
artists.
okay.
And, yeah,
But I mean, he's trying to do a gaming thing in
true,
NFTs, so
true. It's no. I was just about to say before you rudely interrupted.
I do a lot of that. Let's be real here. It's
I was
not
gonna
super
say,
easy on Zoom though, right? Or on
yeah, it's
whatever app we're on. Anyway, go ahead.
it still probably brought a lot of awareness and like just pinged in people's minds like, oh, NFTs, that's still a thing. People like, I'm sure so many people that aren't us who have just like the 10,000 degens you stuck around during the bear market heard about NFTs in 2021, completely forgot about them, and now they're like, oh, they're
Yeah.
still doing stuff. There's a game now. Just like that awareness has got to be a net positive, I think.
Did you hear about the Tubi ad? Probably not. I don't see why you
I don't
would.
even know what
Everybody
that is.
watching had the exact same reaction. So fucking annoying. So like, you know how all TVs are smart TVs these days with like menus of stuff? The ad basically looked like somebody hit the home button and escaped away from it, and everybody freaked out. I immediately went, Taylor, Jim, you did something wrong. Just accusing them, but it was just the ad was, and I guess it was for the Tubi ad. They wanted you to look like you're going to it or something.
That's
But
a
then
great ad.
all the group chats we were in with people that were watching it had the exact same reactions. It was pretty clever. I mean, and got people. I still don't know what Tubi is.
Okay,
so but they're getting free advertising on the goddamn podcast now.
They are
Tubi,
to be,
or
to
not
be
to
or
be.
not to be.
Right. You gotta make that joke.
You got to. Who played in the Super Bowl and who won the Super Bowl? And was it a good game?
Super Bowl was a contest between, on one side you had the Philadelphia Eagles, and then on the other side you had the Kansas City Chiefs and the NFL and the referees. And they conspired to screw me and all the other people that were rooting for the friggin' Eagles.
Yep. Did you?
There was a call that people are talking about a lot that I think was pretty ticky-tacky, but we don't need to get into that, do we?
No.
It was a great game, though. It was a very entertaining game. Close,
good.
Entertaining, high-scoring game.
I feel like, and this is, I guess, not that surprising, but maybe, like, I feel like almost all Super Bowls that I've seen or heard about, everyone's like, oh, it was such a great game. It was a close game. I would expect, like, I don't know, 30% of them just be blowouts where one team just completely decimates the other.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of recent ones. I'm actually going to pull this up because this is a podcast about NFTs. So we're going to look at the results of recent Super Bowls.
Hey, this is tangentially related to NFTs.
You know what I do remember specifically is the AFC Championship game last year was absolutely phenomenal. This is funny that this is an NFT podcast that we're talking about this. How do I find previous years? This is great.
This is a chat GPT question if I ever heard of one.
Oh, here we go.
You're probably Googling.
I'm on Wikipedia. Yeah, so 2 years ago was a shitty one. That one was 31-9, but the last 2 years have both been good. Yeah, it's probably, it looks like about, I'd say 2/3 of them are good close games, and about 1/3 end up being shitty blowouts.
That sounds about
But
right.
there was the famous. Do you know about 28-3? Do those words mean
Oh
anything to
yeah,
you?
I was watching that.
Okay.
Trying to remember who I bet on because I definitely had money on that game.
I had money on the Falcons. I think I had like 1 Bitcoin to win 11 Bitcoins on nitrogen.
Wait, who won?
I'm
I
waiting.
don't. What's that?
Hmm.
Who
Oh,
won?
the Falcons did not win. I did. You would have known if I won 11
Right,
Bitcoins.
right, right. Yeah, I literally cannot remember, but I'm pretty certain I turned the TV off at like that point, and because it
Yeah.
was some
So it was
really
28-3. I think it was a huge lead at halftime. I think it increased a little bit in the third quarter, and then the maximum was 28-3. Not that the halftime score
yeah.
was 23, but it was funny. I was watching it with my friends in Vegas, and we were all just making fun of the Patriots for how bad and overrated they were. And then they just made the most amazing comeback in like the
Yeah.
history of professional sports.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember it was like, I don't know, 5 a.m. or something in Australia, probably, and I woke up early to watch, and then it's like, oh, okay, this game is over, and I just probably went back to sleep or played Dota or something, and yeah, and people started going absolutely crazy. I think I tuned into maybe the last little bit of it. Good times.
Yeah.
Should we talk about NFT stuff some more?
Sure. So you said you wanted to talk about the non-generative art stuff first.
The other thing, so we had the Super Bowl and the Digi ad, and then BLUR is like the big thing that everyone seems to be talking about this week. Understandably, big BLUR airdrop. I wrote in our episode planner thing, BLUR dash Jamie versus the US government, because a lot of people are unhappy, including yourself slightly, that
Yeah, but this is a thing I guess we've talked about a couple times now, but the sort of negative reaction of the US government to crypto is so obvious to me, whereas other people seem incensed and they're like, "Can you believe that they're which I don't know, it could be my stoicism or something coming through, but it doesn't really bother me so much.
Yeah.
But it also makes completely logical sense. Like so one thing I feel like you're hearing a lot or some is people are comparing it to like the internet, right? Where it's this big new technology and the US is like sort of intentionally, for lack of a better word, letting other people get dominant positions in it rather than themselves. But I would argue that, if you look at like, let's go all the way back to Bitcoin, right? For instance, the fundamental purpose of crypto is to be able to mistrust your government and to exist as financial entities without needing the government's permission, which is very different from the internet, which was actually literally created by
the military, right?
the defense company, DARPA
Department
in America. And has a much broader and wider range of use cases that don't involve cutting the government out of the ability to transact financially. So it makes perfect sense to me that not just governments in general, but definitely the one who has the almighty dollar, that's the most transacted currency and all that, has very good reason to be fearful of it.
Yeah.
Now, I would also, there is the sense that if you look specifically at something like a stable coin, if you think of crypto as being rather inevitable, you're going to probably or possibly help the United States dollar keep its position as the world reserve currency by not being negative towards U.S. dollar stablecoins. So it's not exactly cut and dry the way I maybe was making it look like a second ago, certainly, but when people are like, "Can you believe that?" It's like, yes.
Well, especially
this is probably what they should be doing.
We went through this exact same thing with ApeCoin and ape staking like 4 months ago, when everyone's like, "Wait, hang on a second, you can't use the Horizon Labs website," and then they're like, "You just go to contract; it's decentralized and whatever."
Yeah. I mean, that's easy for you to say as someone who isn't taking on any legal risk doing something like that.
True.
But yeah, I mean, obviously there is somewhere between, existential threat and like great new technology that the country must embrace, and we're not really meeting in the middle. So you do have to, I think, if you're like all of these entities like Yuga or like Blur, you just have to be very careful, because the United States is not negotiating in good faith with these companies, even though they're sort of pretending like they are. And that's a lot of people are having a lot of fun on, you know, NFT and crypto Twitter complaining to Gary Gensler, which rightfully so, because I do think the specific version of enforcement that they're doing is shitty, stupid, and all of that stuff. But if you pull back from the specifics of it, it totally makes sense to me that there would be an oppositional stance to the technology.
Slightly related to the whole stablecoin thing, obviously SEC is going after BUSD, the Binance stablecoin. And then I read today that Hong Kong has announced that they are legalizing everything crypto related. So it's like, I don't know, it was kind of a gray area, I guess, before, but they're just making everything like fully legal, crypto, NFTs, exchanges, on-ramps, etc. And they're also working towards their native stablecoin in their currency rather than pegged to the US dollar, which I think we'll probably see more countries be like, hey, we'll just come out with our own. I think
theirs is also, I might be wrong about this, but I thought I remembered it being pegged as like 8.5 of them to the US dollar or something.
I think that's about right. I mean, every currency is, I don't know. Oh, you mean like pegged? So like, it's always.
I think so, but I could be pulling that out of my ass.
I'm gonna do some
either that or 7.85. At least when I used to play poker in Hong Kong dollars, I remember that being a consistent.
7.85 is the current exchange rate.
That's what it was, either 8.5 or 7.85.
If you look at the hang on, I was gonna say if you look at the graph, it's like but the range with which it's going through is very narrow. So maybe you're right. Yeah. Airdrop seems to have kickstarted like a mini bull run in the market. Volumes are up and projects are pumping, which is kind of nice to see.
And a lot of them were pulling back. I saw a lot of people complaining about like Clone X and Gutter Cat Gang and stuff, really pulling back a lot.
Yeah, I think part of it was because Blur had like these bidding pools and were incentivizing bids by saying, hey, if you bid, you get
to farm the airdrop points. Sort of.
And then so like getting closer to the airdrop, people were like, all right, I'm just going to withdraw my bids. And then floors started to collapse.
Yeah.
Which to me makes me think that like there were artificial flaws and like the true value is lower than what it was before. And so we're just getting more efficient at finding that price discovery. But then when Blur was valued so much, a lot of liquidity got pumped into the market. So people like who maybe don't buy NFTs, but buy coins and are like, oh, I believe in the Blur protocol. I don't want to buy some monkey JPEGs, but I'll buy the token. Bought that. And so NFT participants have now ETH. They were like, oh, I'm going to buy some more NFTs, but also because people now are like, oh, hang on, this is worth a lot. They're going to give more rewards for bidding in the future. So we're going to start the bidding thing again. And maybe there's some effect there.
Yeah, it is weird when you're talking about like floors being artificial because of some other sort of incentivization other than purely the NFT itself. But like we've seen this before on like Looks Rare and all this stuff. And it seems sort of like, a lot of the way that all this stuff works is by trying to incentivize people with tokens, right? Sorry.
Yeah.
And structuring things sort of differently than the way it's been in the past with just, you know, shareholder ownership and then customers, and there's no gray area in between those. So I don't know. It just seems like the concept of the floors being artificial, while being quite true, it's hard to know. And again, if you pull back another layer, it's all vaporware, right? It's all vaporware. It's all purely socially constructed value, because these are not things that you can eat or have as shelter. And they don't give you cash flows on businesses, all the things in the real world that we have very good and tangible ways of valuing. These are not that. So it's all arbitrary, but here's the arbitrary true value. And then here's the arbitrary true value when you're getting slightly incentivized by the newest marketplaces to transact with them.
Yeah, definitely agree. I'm like selling all my NFTs. That's like I'm done. Not all, but like 90. I want to sell like 95% and just like stop having.
Can you sell 95%? I feel like there's no bidders on 85% of the crap you have.
I'm going to sell 95% of my NFTs that are worth more than 0.01. Let's say that.
Okay.
It's,
that's a lot of selling.
It's like literally just before this. So normally with Blur, which is great now, if you have like 50 NFTs in collection, you just click assign one signature. But there was one specific collection which I think had originally blocked Blur, and now Blur's like bypassing it. And so you have to approve every single transaction like you do on OpenSea. And there was 81 NFTs in a collection, and the floor price is like 0.01. And so it's like, well, if it was just literally just one I had, I was like, I probably wouldn't bother. But 81 of them, okay, that's almost an ETH. I'm just going to click the button 81 times.
You got to click like 3 times per each one too, right? So annoying.
Well, it auto pops up. So it's like maybe like a scroll down a bit and then click.
And then a click too. So a scroll and click.
Scroll and a click. Times. Scroll and a click. Yeah.
You got a tough life. You're like a coal miner or something.
Yeah, my finger, man. It's
so would you like to get into why you're planning on doing this?
I've been like, honestly, you probably go back to like a 4th episode. We actually, yes. When I was like, I'm sick of NFTs, Jamie. I'm gonna sell.
Yeah, I think it was episode 2.
It might have been.
You were like, I got NFT burnout right now.
Yes,
I was like, this is a great way to start the second ever episode of our NFT podcast.
I wish I sold everything then. That would have been, in hindsight, really great.
Yeah, I mean, the equivalent of what you did is something that I was kind of doing in the back half of last year, kind of just getting some taxable losses booked to offset my earlier gains, and just get rid of stuff that it seemed like the communities were not coalescing around, and yada yada.
Yeah, for me, it's mostly just like mental house cleaning, where it's like I don't want to have to just spend 0.1% of my brain thinking, oh, is that project doing something? Should I check in?
And then you can leave the Discords too.
Yeah, I mean, I only check 5 Discords maybe, and
right. But you have a bunch of other ones that you could actually click leave server and be totally okay with it. When you have 0 of the NFTs, you're not interested in getting back in. Time to just leave that server.
Yep. So that's me. I'm selling. All right, shall we get into the art blocks, generative art, and news of the week?
Yeah, let's hop into the generative art blocks and generative art. This is more generative art in general, right? This one is not really art
generative
blocks.
Art in general.
Speaking of which, I'm going to get a shirt to show you.
Okay. I will vamp while Jamie leaves to get a shirt. I'm betting it's got some sort of generative art on it. I had to wait. You found it, I think. She's coming back.
I did find it, but I was yelling that it doesn't because it doesn't have that.
It doesn't.
This is my new Avengers shirt.
Oh, it kind of looks a bit like
Harvest, right?
What's that?
I was thinking the colors reminded me of the Harvest.
Yes, exactly. That is exactly what I was going to say. It's like that's the first thing that came to mind. That's a great collection that I have none of, and I believe you have none of. I'm now going to check the price of. Literally 1 minute ago, I'm selling all my NFTs, and now I'm like, oh, maybe I should get a Harvest.
Maybe I need to buy a Harvest.
Yeah.
Well, that's the other thing, though. If you are selling 95% of stuff, you can turn that money back into NFTs and have 1/100th as many NFTs if you just buy stuff that actually has some value versus that stuff that seems to be going towards 0.
All right, what do you want to talk about first?
I got to catch my breath. I just walked back and forth a couple times. You go.
All right, so 2 big news events relating to museums acquiring NFTs happened over the last week.
Sort of 3 though, because LACMA has 2 things going on. I would say.
Let's start with Centre Pompidou. They announced this week that they had acquired 18 NFTs to add to
what is Centre Pompidou?
Permanent collection. It is, I believe, the largest collection of modern art in Europe.
That's what I read.
Yeah, it's a museum in France, I think Paris.
I believe it's in Paris.
Paris. Yeah, and they acquired 18, which is just huge. It's like a very significant event. It shows a lot of validation for the space. Some of them were purchased. Some of them were donated. I believe Lava Labs, I think donated, if they even still exist. I know an autoglyph and a CryptoPunk was donated, and I believe it was like
Yeah,
Yuga
the way I
Labs donated
remember
the
it is
punk,
that Larva gave the autoglyph and
Mm.
Yuga gave the punk.
which is still like, isn't that just Yuga giving both now that Yuga acquired Lava?
No, I don't believe so.
Yeah, there's business stuff happening there, I guess. Anyway, a few were donated, a bunch were, I think, purchased. It's very cool, very exciting. A whole bunch of different type of NFTs. It's not all generative art.
Yeah, I mean the punk itself, you could argue, is not generative art.
Huge news. Like that's just
It is, yeah.
awesome
I
to
mean,
see.
for people that have been in the generative art, let's say NFT space, because both of us are not people that were in the generative art space before that or know enough about the history to talk about it, right? Let's get that caveat out of the way. But there's always just been a lot of sort of speculation and talk and when MoMA and all of this stuff about this art that a lot of people think is a big forward-thinking artistic movement, when it was going to get into these, big and respected art museums. And we just have two huge examples of it that just happened. So you just talked about the Center Pompidou, but there's also LACMA.
Yeah.
So first of all, LACMA's got a big code computer art, I guess is the.
Well, I was going to say, what is LACMA? Maybe start with
It's
that.
the Los Angeles County either of modern art or Museum of Art.
Yeah.
It might be the Museum of Modern Art, even though it's only one M in the thing. Anyway, it's basically the biggest, most famous art museum in Los Angeles. And they got, so first I'm going to preempt the donation. They have a big computer age, I think it's supposed to go from like 1952 to modern times or something like that, exhibit that is opening up, I think maybe the 24th of this month or something. Maybe it already opened.
12th.
I think it's
Feb 12th.
The 12th of February.
Yep.
Okay, so it opened up 4 days ago, and it's staying open until I believe early July. And it just seems to be a big, great exhibit about, computer art in all of its forms over that time period. I do believe 1952 is when they said it started, and I don't know for sure.
1982 is when it ends.
Okay,
so it's like
52 to 82,
decades.
so a 30-year period of art, and that's super exciting. I actually think I'm going to go to it, which is kind of crazy to go across the country just for an exhibit. But perhaps when I'm in Vegas already for the World Series, I'll just hop over to check it out. So yeah, that's a big thing. And that's, quite related, right, to generative art and the NFT space, but is not exactly overlapping. But on the heels of that, they also were donated a pretty significant and impressive collection of NFTs from Cosimo de Medici, the mysterious NFT collector that we all know has a great collection and is 22. I think there's a punk,
22.
And various generative art ones. I know Monica Rizzoli's in there, who I'm a big fan of.
Ringers,
Dimitri,
Ringers.
Lots of good stuff in there. And there was a minor controversy on Twitter when Cosimo was announcing it. Basically, he was saying that, it's the first, blah, 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 and it turned out to not be the first. But either way, it's a significant donation of on-chain art to a big institution.
It's really, really cool. Like, so many of the big names in the art space just donated to LACMA now. It's like they're in their permanent collection, and I think that is awesome. It was also a zombie punk, so it's like give them a significantly rarer one than a floor punk, I guess. But at that point, it's you're probably not caring that much about whether you're donating a floor or something above floor, when you're donating 22 S tier pieces of crypto art.
Yeah. It is like on a slightly personal level. I own multiple pieces from Monica Rizzoli, and now Monica Rizzoli's in LACMA. That's
so
fucking cool.
I was thinking the exact same thing. It's really cool.
Yeah, it helps push back against people in your life that might be dismissive of the. It's like, hey, I own art from somebody that's in LACMA. Come on, give me a break.
It's not just generative as well. It's all over the place. Justin Avasano is in there, so photography. Claire Silver is in there, so AI art.
What was the one you said after Justin?
Claire
Silver? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Clear has like a brain drops brain. Is that what
going
it's called?
crazy.
Brain
Brain
drops
drops is the AI. Yeah.
collection that's been the floor has been going crazy on that. I didn't really know about
Yeah.
it, but I saw a graph on Twitter and I was like, oh,
Yep. I mean, AI kind of everything is going a bit crazy just in the world, but then in the NFT space, a whole bunch of AI projects are just pumping. Boto token pumped a whole bunch. Any AI project that has a token is just like people are going crazy for them, speculating.
yeah, I got a birthday sort of coming up, and because my wife's family's crazy, you have to submit your birthday lists and your Christmas list quite early. So I was trying to figure out what I wanted, and I put the book from LACMA of the exhibit in there, and it's it looks like a nice book. I would love to get that.
That's a great idea. Yeah.
But I also want to actually go in person and see the exhibit.
Yeah. When is the World Series, and when do you think you might be going? Because I might be there. Hang on. Yeah, I'm planning to
Do you
go
want
to
me to
America
answer
in
the
May.
question, or do you want to keep going?
Well,
Wait
no,
a minute. I might.
Yeah, no, I just didn't even put two and two together. But I'm most likely going to be in the US in May in LA. That's where I'm probably going to go. Yeah. Cool.
So
when are
that's
you planning?
slightly before. It's basically June and the first half of July is when the World Series is. And because Jim's doing the bike ride and I'm doing the whatchamacallit car, like supplies or whatever. Support car. For part of it, I have like a pretty narrow window of when I'll actually be able to do it. So I think my plan is to basically just go for the main event and slightly before it. But like I have to. So I'm scheduled for 2 parts of the bike trip. I'm gonna have to miss the second one if I make day 3 of the main event, or maybe day 4. So that'll be kind of
chat about this bike trip and what Jim's up to. 'Cause do you want to tell people about the bike trip that Jim's up to?
Sure. I hadn't planned on it, so I could have thought of a better thing to do this in a future episode. So basically, there's a charity that's based out of New Orleans called the SBP. It used to be St. Bernard Project, but now it's just SBP. And basically, after Hurricane Katrina is when this was founded. And basically, what their slogan is I believe it's shortening the time from disaster to recovery. So they go to natural disasters, mostly in the American South, hurricanes, tornadoes, that sort of thing, and then they just basically rebuild homes. And get people in the homes, and fix up homes that have been damaged, stuff like that. He loves this charity, donates to it all the time, volunteers with them all the time, and he's an insane person. He's riding his bike around the perimeter of the entire United States, not including Alaska and Hawaii, but he's going around the entire United States, and he's doing this to raise money for that charity. And then the thing that we were just sort of talking about is he'll have somebody following him in a car with like a backup bike and blah blah blah, and if he gets run over or whatever, they can call 911 and stuff for him. And so I am in charge of doing that for 2 of the segments of the trip.
Yeah. Has he done? Is this the first time he's doing this, or has he done this?
No, like 15 years ago, he did another one where I think he started in Joplin, Missouri, and went around and ended up in New Orleans. So basically the same thing, but he was a younger man then. But I mean, he's very cardiovascularly.
I would hope
fit.
so.
Yeah, no, he's just going. He's hoping it'll work out. He hasn't really been trained or anything. No, I mean he's a madman on a bike.
Yeah.
So, cool. And it's starting relatively soon at this point.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. Getting back to World Series, LACMA. Maybe I'll go to the World Series, but like at the front end. Because I'll be in there in May, start of June. It's been a long time.
I would love to see you play a World Series event again. What?
I would.
You probably only played in like 2 different years ever. Maybe 1.
No, I think it was like 3 or 4.
4 sounds like too many to me. I'm gonna go with a 3.
I think 3 is.
You gave up pretty quick. You're like, it's so far. I only play PLO.
Well, that too. I think there was like once or twice I went there and I just played no tournaments. Well, the first time 2008, I was literally underage.
You were too young.
Yeah, but then I think one time I went there and it was just like I hate tournaments. but I'm just going to play some cash games. And I barely played any cash games. I was like, I'm just going to go to nice
Hang out.
restaurants and hang out
Yeah.
and maybe play online poker.
Tournaments are so fun if you do good and so
Yes.
miserable if you don't, to me.
Yes, I agree. It's like 90+% of the time, terrible.
Yeah.
9% of the time, kind of fun, exciting, interesting, but a bit agonizing.
And then
1%
ends
of the
very
time.
disappointingly.
Yes. And then less than 1% of the time, you're like extremely ecstatic.
Yes.
You gotta be a special kind of crazy to be a professional
You
tournament
do.
player.
You absolutely do.
Mm.
And I guess technically we both fell under that category, right?
Yeah. You gotta be a special kind of crazy to be like a full-time NFT trader as well, I think.
Yeah. It's a very similar kind of crazy too, I think, to the poker one, which is why we've both done both.
Yep.
We'll link to some articles about both of these big donations to these institutions.
Yeah, definitely recommend reading them, keeping an eye out. Just like it's awesome, and it makes me
and probably checking them out if you can, if you're near.
Yeah. To me, it's like for so long, so many of us that are like obsessed with generative art and NFTs and NFT art, we've like had this real strong conviction. And we're like, in the future, the rest of the world will catch up. These will be in museums. They will get the validation. It's just so cool. This is an art revolution. It's happening. But actually seeing it like finally happen and come to fruition slowly and bit by bit, it's like, it's really, really cool. It's like, it's no longer...
the meme version of it was always when MoMA, right?
Yes. And
so
now it's like,
we're still waiting on that, but we got LACMA, which I think would probably be in America the number 2 behind MoMA.
Yeah. It's really, really freaking cool. And now it's like, well, kind of crazy not to just have some get some generative art. Like,
yeah, I mean, they already, if you want to look at, again, the history of this stuff beforehand, there's like Soloit stuff, which is pretty generative in nature. Like the Soloit wall drawings, for instance, is a famous thing that's been in lots of places. And I think it's very much by definition a generative thing. Pretty interesting though, because like those are ones where he's not even doing it. It's like just up to the people installing it. He just has a list of instructions, literally, of how you generate this art, right? And then they put it up on the wall.
It's really fun.
And I guess like Raphael Rosendaal's been in some places before and stuff. Oh, you know what's also who's like Affendal or something like that? He's got the big one that's been up in MoMA for a while now, where he
Rafik Anadol.
Rafik Anadol, yeah. So I've seen a lot of people being very impressed and looking at that, and that's sort of an AI and generative thing going on there.
His stuff is insane. I probably told you this, but maybe I didn't. Back in April last year, when we were in Barcelona, we went to Casa Batlló, I think it was, or the other one. There's two famous.
The House of Batlló.
That's correct. And basically, Rafik had done a few things art related with there. So like, actually the day before we went and we just missed it, he had this massive light show that had all these like AI images projected onto the outside of the building. And there were like tens of thousands of people that turned up to watch it. So that was cool. And then in one of the rooms at the top, he had this like, it was like this, display screen with like a 3D animated piece of art, just like a 2-minute animation running through. It looked very cool. It was AI generated. It actually ended up being auctioned at, I think it was an NFT as well, and it was auctioned at Christie's or Sotheby's a month or two after. And I was like, kind of like, maybe I should think about bidding on it. This was before the bear market. And it went for way too much money, and Punk 6529 got it. And I was like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. But the coolest part was towards the end of the museum, before you exit, they have this room, and it was, I don't know, like a bedroom sized room, nothing crazy, but floor to ceiling and every wall was covered with like LCD screens, including like the columns. So it's just full screens. And then there was like a 1 or 2 minute video of just, apparently it was trained on like every image on the internet, like billions and billions of images, and just like fed into AI. And it's like this projection of humanity back at you. And it's this this wild experience. And I came out of that like max bullish on everything Rafiq. And yeah, he's awesome.
Do you have anything that he's done?
I have one piece by him, which I got from the last Grails project from Proof. He was one of the Grails artists. So
cool.
Yeah.
That you reminded me though when you were saying that something that he had got auctioned at Christie's. There's also a Fidenza going up at Christie's soon, and if you look at the list of the artists that are getting auctioned off that same night, it's pretty amazing to see Tyler Hobbs in there with them. It's impressive stuff.
Like
and
Picasso.
It kind of is furthering sort of that thing that we've been talking about, where in the community there's been a lot of respect and wondering when are the bigger institutions going to take that step up in acceptance and stuff like that. And to see Hobbs getting auctioned off with Picasso's, and I can't actually remember the other specifics, but just the biggest names in art that we all know on the same night. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
It's a micro uniform Fidenza for those in the know. Just
it's a great
I don't know who the current owner is, actually. I don't know that specifically.
Yeah.
But that's very cool.
Yeah. Art is awesome. Generative art is especially awesome. Anything else on these two news / anything else happening in the generative art space you want to chat about?
I have been looking at buying a Vera Molnar lately, a physical.
I remember you saying that a long time ago.
Yeah, it was easier then too, because I had not a giant tax bill on the horizon. But I think, after I get back from Japan and after I pay the bills, I'm going to see where I'm at and try and acquire one.
How much are we talking for?
So if you want the cheapest editioned small piece, I think you can maybe get one for $800 or something. But if you want something that's more something that I would want, you're looking at maybe $4,000 plus.
That's so reasonable.
Yeah, no, I mean, if you priced it in F and allowed me to do it with MetaMask, I'd have 3 of them already.
Yeah, I was like, wow. That's amazing.
But I think those deals have been going. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When I first started looking at it, I should have probably bought up all the Manfred Moore and Vera Molnars that I was thinking about getting.
Yeah. I want to get some too. Yeah. After you send me some links and I want to look. Yeah.
Will do.
Yeah. What was I gonna say? No, I lost it.
Generative art in general, museums.
Oh, FX Hash. Anything? Oh, that's it. I finally loaded my wallet up with some more TES.
Nice.
I've been sitting on 4 TES for, I want to say 5 months, and now I have a bit of TES to play with. So I'm going to be.
Are you comfortable getting specific about what a bit is? How much that is?
I have 1,100 TES, so not a crazy amount.
Yeah, not a crazy amount, but you can. I
mean, reasonable way.
If you're not trying to buy collections that are already known, you can get a zillion pieces for that.
Yeah.
You know what? Actually, what another thing that I was thinking about. So I mentioned this Project Kernel, I think last episode. A lot of times, if I'm reading on the couch, or if we're leaving, we'll put on a fireplace for Toby to have something going. And I like doing that stuff, but those would be a perfect version of that sort of white noise for YouTube. So I was going to look at what the license is for that specific thing, or just contact the artist myself and see if they'd be okay with that. Because I think that could just be a thing that people would appreciate on YouTube.
Yeah. I mean, you could always just upload it as a private video. I think that should be fine then.
Without monetizing it.
Right, yeah. So literally no one can look at it unless you're logged into your own account.
Yeah. But it's also nice to share art with the world. So
this is very true.
And that's the all of these sort of places like FX Hash and stuff. They tell you what specific license this particular art piece is under. So it only takes a click and a little bit of reading to find out actually what is allowed with this. Which is cool.
That is cool.
Because I remember when my sister was getting or thinking about getting into trying to sell her photographs as NFT. She's like, so what do you what rights do they get? What is this? Do I retain the copy? And it's you can kind of do whatever. And there's a bunch of existing examples of licenses you can have them under, and places again Art Blocks and FX Hash have you sort
Yeah.
of pick that, and it's right there on the page so you can know.
Yeah. Very cool. Yeah. I might go look at those kernels. I like them. I looked at them last week after you mentioned them. Yeah. So much good stuff on FX Hash.
There really is. So
I
now
gotta
have you,
sell some stuff. Yeah.
huh?
I got to sell some of my FX Hash collection because like I just keep buying, and
You have one
at some
garden
point,
monolith?
two.
Ooh,
So
that's pretty
yeah,
nice.
that could buy a lot of other pieces.
It really could. Have you done? When did you load with the Tez? A day ago or something?
Yeah, about a day ago.
And so you have done
I've done nothing.
Nothing. So you have no idea where you're going to get.
Bought it, the reason I got the Tez was someone said that there's some thing I can mint by having the tender passes. And I was like, oh, I should probably load up. And then I deposited it, but I sort of just got distracted and haven't really had a chance to check back in. So I'm going to see what that thing that I can mint is. And then also just start shopping around. And yeah.
Cool.
I think that's news of the week and generative art and art blocks and in general stuff.
Yes.
Usually you chime in somewhere along the way.
But you did it in the wrong order. Art blocks and generative art in general. Giveaway.
All right, this is a segment where we like to play a game. It's a quiz. Either we quiz each other or we try and play a collaborative game. And the end result is we come up with a word that you'll put into a link that this is a terrible way of explaining it. We'll drop a link.
It really is.
You go to the website, add this code, and you'll be in the running to win a couple of Tezos NFTs. Today, I'm going to ask Jamie a trivia question. He will answer. I will tell him what the actual answer is, and then the answer will be the giveaway code. Jamie, I recently moved to Dubai. What percentage of the population here do you think are expats?
Here meaning the city of Dubai.
In Dubai.
I would say 78.
Close. 88.52.
That is pretty close.
Yeah. It's a lot. Like that is a crazy amount of expats. Yeah.
It's like not a real place almost, right?
Yeah.
It was nothing, and then they built it up into a city in the fastest time possible. So it almost has to be
15, 20 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy and awesome. All right, so I guess the answer can be 8852. 88.
Okay. 8852. 4
Easy
digits
as pie. Cool. This is
so we're going to have a form that there'll be a link in the show notes, and you put in 8852 as the secret password or whatever, and you'll be entered in our chance to win one art NFT each from Roy and I. So you'll get 2 if you're one of the chosen winners. Yep.
People have been getting some good stuff, I think.
Oh, I had a good thing to recommend people do at the end of the episode. I think it might have been eat more vegetables. I think people need to eat more vegetables.
So I consciously bought more vegetables last time I was at the grocery store because I remembered you saying that.
And did you let them just rot in the fridge?
Did not.
Okay.
One of the vegetables was broccoli, and
broccoli.
I cooked that a few days ago. The other was sweet potato, and that's.
I've been really into Japanese sweet potatoes lately.
Interesting. What's the difference between a Japanese one and like I guess
non-Japanese? So a Japanese sweet potato is it's almost like a cross between like a russet potato and a regular sweet potato. They're a little bit drier and starchier. And the flavor's more like a chestnut, which I love. Although I
love chestnuts.
Okay, you're gonna like Japanese sweet potatoes then.
Hey, actually, I don't love chestnuts. I love chestnut flavor.
Oh, that's interesting.
I don't love the texture, but like we had a chestnut soup. It's so hilarious that I think this is still part of the podcast, but this is exactly what if we had stopped recording, we'd still be. Anyway, had a chestnut soup like a year and a bit ago, and it was like the most delicious soup I've ever had. So
I love chestnuts, but I have less than no issues with the texture. So it's not just the flavor I'm into. I like the texture too. But yeah, the sweet potato, the Japanese sweet potato, you're gonna get that flavor, but with more of the texture of like a russet potato.
Nice. All right, before we wrap up, I want to comment on how insane the grocery stores are here in Dubai.
Okay.
I was in one the other day. I believe it was by the largest grocery store I've been in prior to this. This one was, I think, 5 times as large. It's
Jesus.
like a Costco times 5. It is like
Is it like the only one in the whole city?
No, there's like a million malls here, and every mall has a million shops and like grocery stores. It's ridiculous. And this one, I spent like an hour, and I didn't even leave the produce section. Like there were 4 aisles that had cookies. It was
4 cookie aisles?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Like I guess 4 half cookie aisles, because there's an aisle and a big thing and then another aisle. But like it was just it's ludicrous. They had like their own dry aging section. They had an entire like massive area for like seafood and like all of the seafood you could imagine. They had a special section for mushrooms where they had like 40 different, maybe 15 different types of mushrooms. They had an area for olive oil where they had like a whole bunch of olive, and you just like pour your own and like whatever. It's just like,
oh yeah,
it was crazy. They had a bakery, and then as I was leaving, I looked down the other end, and they were like, they sell TVs and washing machines, and wouldn't surprise me if there were like cars back there. It was like one of those
in the grocery store.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah, it's
whenever I see stores that are vaguely like that, I'm like, I don't understand how this still survives in the modern era. Like, it's too broad. How is this successful?
Because you can get everything there. It's like, why would you ever go to another shop? It's
just... because there's already a website where you do it. You don't have to, and then the websites don't have to pay the real estate costs.
Yeah, I mean, I get it for like anything other than produce, but when it comes to like, we've ordered groceries online, and you just never get the good stuff.
No, but that's right. I was with you until you added like the TVs and stuff, and that's when you lose me in terms of how is this a successful business model?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, this has been episode 71.
All right.
Oh, hey, actually, you know what? I'm going to give everybody a quote that I heard the other day.
Okay.
This is a pretty good one, right? Everybody wants to save the world, but nobody wants to help mom do the dishes. That's pretty good, right? So do a fucking small, helpful, nice thing, right?
Do the dishes. Yeah. Take out the rubbish. Yeah.
Take out
the
rubbish.
Bin bag afterwards.
Yeah. Replace the bin bag. I think that's what you said.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Speaking of bins, you remember how cute Paddington is?
What?
Paddington, the movie?
Oh yeah, we watched that together.
We did. But he's hiding in a trash can at once, and he's going, "I'm a bin. I'm just a bin. I'm a bin," pretending that he's not Paddington hiding in a trash bin. Okay, no, this is episode 71. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Bye, everyone.